Jayanta Basu, the plurals from Belém, COP30. The COP30 has started a couple of days back on 10th November. Now, when we talk about Brazil, normally the names that immediately come in somebody's mind is Pele, the great footballer, and Sao Paulo, the region, Rio de Janeiro. But Belém is not that well known or popular. But it's very interesting to note why Belém was selected by the Brazil government as a city to host COP30. The reason is Brazil very consciously wants to project the Amazon forest vulnerability to climate change. And this Belém is right at the gateway of Amazon forest. That's why they have selected it. Now, that's a very interesting proposition, and maybe something big everybody expects to come out, at least on the forest front, from this conference. Having said that, let us try to understand what has happened in the first 2 days. Now, normally what we see, the first important thing in any COP is to adopt the agendas. And we have found in the last few COPs that the trouble begins from there. Because the developed countries, the developing countries, the emerging economies, and the less developed economies, they often do not agree on the agenda. But this time, it was quite smooth sailing, so to say. There was some discord, but the COP presidency could avert that, and the agenda was adopted. The present COP president, Ambassador Andrea, is a formal negotiator, a politician, and as well as a minister. So he's a bureaucrat. So he knows how to handle this thing. So he handled it reasonably well, I think. Now, the next important thing that has happened after the agenda being adopted is the announcement of BIM, the Barbados Implementation Plan. What is that? Now, when loss and damage, the phenomena that accepts the already the impacts that have already been happened and the need to support that, that was accepted in Sharm el-Sheikh as a separate phenomena, as a separate tool of finance. Then in the last COP, the formalization of the funding happened. But now the first time that funding proposals have gone out of UN. Now the UN is saying to any country now can ask for funding under the loss and damage fund. That's a historical first, so to say. Though the activists are not very happy with the amount that UN now projects as the loss and damage fund, $250 million, that's not much. But fact remains, at least some momentum is there in the loss and damage. Apart from that, what has come out in these first 2 days, the series of reports from UN agencies, from expert groups, from academicians, academic institutes, series of reports have come out. And there's a commonality factor in all those reports. Most of these reports are showing finger to the fossil fuel and the evolution of fossil fuel as the predominant thing and the need for going away from the fossil fuel. If we remember, we will remember that in Dubai COP, it was decided by 2050 the world will stop using the fossil fuel. Now, having announced that, so far, UN has not come out of any steps, any proper roadmap how that will happen. So the activists and the smaller countries are demanding that roadmap should be on table. So that is something which is I expect to hot up the discussion in the coming days. Not yet. The second week is the critical week when the politicians across the world will come. Our environment minister is also supposed to join the negotiation next week. So that is another part which is important. The third part that is coming up is the adaptation. Now, adaptation has kind of gone back into a bit of a back burner in the last 2 years with the emergence of loss and damage. So loss and damage very rightfully claimed this spot, but adaptation is being pushed back. And as we all know, the failure to adapt actually leads to loss and damages. So this year, the global goal of adaptation is on the agenda, and adaptation finance is on the agenda. And just now, as I'm talking to you, Wednesday, Pelham time around I think 4:30 likewise, and half an hour before. We were hearing a press conference of the COP presidency where it was mentioned that global goal of adaptation and the adaptation finance are some of the major agendas. Gender is going to be a major agenda. But now these are being generally said, but what will ultimately in the operative part is something we need to check at. So that's very important. So overall, if you take the 2 days, first 2 days, it is kind of a 50-50. People have not come to Bella with a lot of expectation, so to say, after a bit of a failure in Baku. But at the same time, as it is happening in an emerging economy, people also think about that it should be a turnaround call. Some people are saying about an implementation call. Unfortunately, the indices, the climate, the commitment of the countries to cut down on the emission has not all been received. India is there to submit his indices, so to say. So that's very important. And finally, before I wrap up, I should mention something which has happened yesterday. Yesterday evening, and it's Tuesday evening at Valentine, a large group of protesters, mainly from the indigenous community, they were protesting the kind of oil, increasing oil exploration, land grab, logging, and all those. And they were doing a protest. There is nothing new. All the cops, I have seen various cops, how the protest was happening just outside the cop building, inside the cop building. But what was important yesterday and what was really interesting to note is this group tried to barge into the cop side wing, and there are a lot of delegates inside, a lot of personalities inside. It was a security issue. I hadn't seen the local police trying to prevent them. I was there at the spot, but even police finally pushed it. So ultimately, they came out of the conference site of the venue. But that was something which I think the leaders will keep in their mind. People are not happy the way the things are going. So far, this from the Vellum COP30 side. Myself, John Tabasu, with me, my colleague, journalist Vishen Bhattacharya. So far, this much. We'll do the next round very soon.